AITA for not attending my graduation party and telling everyone why when they asked. My family has not celebrated anything to do with me since I was 12 years old. My dad and his new wife had a baby that year and I was kind of forgotten about. I would get birthday presents and such but no party or anything. I got used to it and started a tradition of celebrating with my friends. We would go see movies or whatever. One of my friend's mom found out and started making me a cake every year for my birthday. When I graduated from high school I had saved up enough money to go on a week-long vacation in NYC with my best friend and her mom to see Hadestown. I just finished university and I am starting my new job right away. I guess my dad had planned a big party for me as a surprise but I didn't show up because I went out with my friends instead. When my family started asking me why I didn't show up after my father had gone through all the effort for me, I explained that he hadn't celebrated anything of mine in 10 years and I didn't know he had planned to do so this time. He told everyone I was lying, so I asked him to post any pictures he had from my birthday parties, extracurricular activities, or high school graduation. He obviously couldn't and everyone started shitting on him. Now he is mad for talking about private family matters. I am just going to go over there and pick up the few things I have left in that house and just move to my new city without dealing with this anymore. AITA for asking my roommate to stop making coffee in the bathroom when he's up early. My roommate is in college so he will generally stay up until 4 to 5 a.m. I work so I am normally trying to sleep from 12 to 7 a.m. This hasn't been a problem until my roommate was gifted an expensive espresso machine by his girlfriend for Christmas. He put it in the upstairs bathroom, right next to the toilet, because it's more convenient. I've been waking up regularly to the sound of the coffee maker running at 2 a.m. I've asked him to stop but he says he needs it because he plays Counter-Strike at a high level and his team relies on him to have fast reactions. He uses the sniper rifle which apparently needs more reaction speed. I suggested he relocate the machine to downstairs, but he refuses. I tried shaming him to his girlfriend, but she's just happy he's using it. Would it be rude to go further? 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 AITA for not working with my neighbors to solve a problem they created. We had new neighbors move in last year and they put up these huge steel raised garden beds along the entire fence line of their backyard, and left about a 3 or 4 inch gap between the planters and the fence. The chain-link fence is mine, on my property. Before these guys moved in and did this, the old neighbors would weed eat their side, we would weed eat ours, no problem. This guy approached us yesterday and asked if we could cut 2 inches off the bottom of our fence to weed eat under it because they can't get to the weeds and grass that's growing between the fence and planters on their side. I knew this was an issue last year as I literally went along the entire fence line and hand-pulled the weeds and grass from their side through the fence because it was overgrown and a huge eyesore. I told him we are absolutely not cutting our fence. We discussed herbicide but then we will have a strip of dead grass along our fence line which will also be unsightly and they are worried about damage to their plants. He said he hoped we could work together as neighbors. Their planters caused it, I don't think it should be my problem. AITA AITA for wearing my wedding ring to my sister's wedding against her wishes and hijacking her night. My sister, 29F, got married last Saturday. The ceremony was beautiful and I enjoyed myself as much as someone who is famously not a wedding guy could. The dramatics were not quite as enjoyable. I, 27 meters, hadn't seen my family in a few months, and we've only had a handful of phone calls over the course of those months. It's never on purpose that I pull one of these disappearing acts, it's mostly out of habit. I've been fiercely independent for most of my life and I get easily caught up in whatever I'm doing at the time that makes it hard for me to remember to keep those not in my direct line of sight in the loop. My mother is the same way. It's also nice visiting around times when big events like this are going on as my mom is prone to hovering whenever I'm home, and this takes some of the spotlight off me. I had been in Ireland around 8 months prior to flying in last Thursday. I was originally there to spend 2 weeks with my best friend who, thanks to the aforementioned one-track mindedness I possess, I had unfortunately grown apart from within recent years. Ours was a friendship that had started since we were 14 and was one of the most important relationships in my life for over a decade, and I wanted to put more effort into it so I didn't lose it. He was spending time overseas as to reconnect with his heritage since his father's passing. I was already traveling, and my stay obviously turned out to be a lot longer than 2 weeks. It also turned into us getting married. Funny how life works out. About 2 weeks before our trip to the States for my sister's wedding, I sent out a mass email to close family letting them know that me and my husband were married. I wanted to assuage any possibility of us stealing any thunder right from the get-go. My mom replied that she was hurt that she wasn't told sooner or allowed to be there, which I understood. It seemed her mood flipped by the time we met in person, however. Rehearsal dinner was on Friday, and that was where we all met up for the first time. My mom was overjoyed to see me and my partner and spent a large part of the night telling stories about she had always predicted there was something different about my friendship with him compared to others I was close with in high school. It was a very sweet moment. But at the end of the night, my sister pulled me aside and asked if we would not wear our wedding rings to her ceremony. I was confused, so I asked why. She said I was taking the attention off her and she was already bitter that I was hijacked her rehearsal dinner. More family might take notice if I wore my ring tomorrow and cause a similar incident. I refused. Like I mentioned before, the ceremony was beautiful but she didn't speak to me for the rest of the weekend and we ended up leaving the reception early. AITA, 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 AITA because I threatened to send my stepmother to jail? As background information, my parents have been divorced for over 10 years, and me, M21, and my siblings, W24 and M19, met my father's new girlfriend about 4 years ago. Our not-yet stepmother always had a certain dislike towards us, and we didn't like her either. She always subtly implied that she doesn't like us. We have often tried to tell this to our father, but he is the quiet type. He never gets involved and believes that we should feel educated by her. I moved out 1 year ago. Now I have learned that my father and his girlfriend are planning to get married, her idea. Even though our family has never been financially well off, my stepmother wants to have a big celebration. Now here's the problem, she is demanding financial support from all of us children for the celebration because we are family too. My sister, 24, is kind-hearted and even offered to help voluntarily, but my brother, 19, and I were super annoyed. When I refused to give her a single buck and suggested that she should just make the celebration smaller, she flipped out, and we had a heated argument. After that, we didn't have any contact for a few days until I suddenly received a notification that a certain amount of money was missing from my bank account. It turned out that my crazy stepmother had her hands in our accounts. Since I had a good relationship with my father, he had access to one account, which money she simply took. It wasn't a significant amount, but when she refused to return the money, I threatened to report her to the police for theft. All the relatives think that I wanted to prevent the wedding, and they say, "Don't make such a fuss, family is more important than money, blah blah." But I'm angry and waiting to see if she returns it or if I actually go through with it. AITA that. AITA that. AITA that. AITA that.